Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here and you don't know who I am, my name is Taylor Benchard. I started an advertising agency called BetterAMS when I was 19 years old and had no money. It is now quite successful, doing about $160,000 per month with almost 20 team members, I believe. And if you want to know what this channel is all about, it's about helping you scale your agency and grow it faster. Or if you're a freelancer, consultant, coach, I mean, this is still very applicable to you because an agency is a service-based business. Now, in this video, I want to talk to you today about if SMMA is saturated, and there's 3 important things we're going to go through in this video. I've prepared 9 beautiful slides for you. Number 1, what is the difference between a saturated and unsaturated market? Number 2, how do you know if a market is actually saturated? And number 3, how do you find an unsaturated market? All right, let's start with saturated versus unsaturated. Now I have this beautiful graphic here of red ocean versus blue ocean because this is an important concept. A saturated market is one in which you're competing in an existing market space. When you enter it, you have to beat the competition, you have to exploit existing demand and make the value cost trade-off. So you're basically competing against a lot of other people in a well-established market. If you have money and a lot of experience, I highly recommend you enter a red ocean. There's no problem with doing it if you have those 2 things. If you don't have a lot of money and you don't have a lot of experience, like I didn't when I was 19 years old starting my agency, then you should start with a blue ocean, which is an unsaturated market, which is where there's, uncontested market space. The competition is irrelevant because really there is no competition, and there's a high amount of demand, and then finally there is no really value cost trade-off. So just the opposite of the 4 things we talked about in a red ocean. Now, a really important concept that you have to understand is that markets will change over time. This sounds very obvious, but let me give you a real example of a market that used to be unsaturated that is now ridiculously saturated. So being a digital marketer in 2008 was a blue ocean. It was a massive opportunity, and there was so much potential for you to start a massive agency at that time because there were so few people that were doing any form of marketing online, right? But as we all know, this bubble has bursted, and no longer can you just call yourself a digital marketer, put up a website and say that you do marketing online and sign clients, because that's so vague. Everybody does marketing online. So what happened when that bubble popped is that all these other sub niches and bubbles, came into reality. So when one big bubble bursts, typically there's these micro bubbles that pop out, and these are the new blue oceans or opportunities for you to establish yourself as an expert in. Okay, so for example, digital marketing bubble burst, and now there's all these other bubbles, like you could specialize in content creation, you could specialize in PPC, you could specialize in SEO or just in web design. And instead of considering yourself just a digital marketer, if you were to claim that all you do is PPC, you could come into this market. And again, I'm saying this is also maybe in 2013 or 2014. Now, if you were to just say that all you do is PPC, well, for what platform? You have to be more specific, right? But I'm just giving you a rough example from like 2008 digital marketer to after that bubble burst to, maybe 4 years later, something like this. Rough timelines. Okay. That's a really important concept. But how do you know if you're in a red ocean? It's pretty straightforward. You just have to research the market. And the sub-bullets to this is really, if you're offering CRO for B2B SaaS companies, so conversion rate optimization for software companies that, let's say, just secured their first round of funding, using this example, the 2 things that you really need to do is how many competitors can you find offering this kind of service to that kind of market? And how many prospects can you find that could potentially, utilize or be interested, in this service? Because one, if there's a ridiculous amount of competitors and there's not so many prospects, that's as red as it gets. That's the most saturated market you can possibly find. If there's a lot of competitors, but there's an obscene amount of prospects and there's still a really big market, maybe it's not super red and there's ripe opportunity for you to step into the market. Okay, this is really the 2 big variables in my opinion: competition and market. It's pretty straightforward. Supply and demand is really what it is. And the next big thing you can do is test the market. Okay, so getting actual feedback. It's not enough to just research the market and do some Googling. No. You have to actually, at some point, based on your research, if you've determined that this is possibly an unsaturated blue ocean, You have to go and test the market. The best way to do that, in my opinion, is to just contact 500 ICPs. This is ideal client profiles. So you craft an outbound outreach message, you set up a really basic website, and you fire off 500 messages to 500 ideal clients based on the service offering and the market that you're going to go after, and that's it. Based on the feedback that you get from this, that will determine whether or not this is a red ocean. If you get no response and nobody's interested in what you're pitching, okay, this is probably either very competitive or there's just no service market fit in what you're offering. If you get a huge response, 10% of the people, respond to you, 5% hop on a call, and there's several people that are wanting to pay you money for this service. Wow, you found service market fit and fantastic. We want to keep scaling this and, potentially actually go gung-ho and launch an actual agency in this market. So that's how you should ideally do your market research. Now, last not least, how do you find an unsaturated market? Well, we kind of just briefly talked about it in the last slide where we're doing outreach, right? We're formulating what is the service I'm offering, who is the market that I'm offering it to. And I've talked about this before, but there's dimensions to the niches. And when you're looking at a niche or a service offering and the market that you're offering it to, what you want to look at is the following. Okay, so this is a very broad example, digital marketer. I don't recommend you do that. It's too broad, it's too vague. I also don't recommend that you just specialize in PPC. There's too many PPC platforms. There's Google, there's Bing, there's Amazon, there's Facebook. There's a million PPC platforms. There's a million different ways you can do SEO. So let's say that you were to specialize in one PPC platform or one type of thing. Okay, you could specialize in Amazon PPC. That's really specific. Okay, now we're getting specific, and now we're getting into what might be a blue ocean because we're no longer just saying PPC, we're saying Amazon PPC, and Amazon's a relatively new platform. Okay, now we're getting there. If you were to go even further, now that we've kind of defined the service offering in a somewhat deep dimension, we want to add on some type of market profile to it. Is it just Amazon PPC ads for companies in the healthcare category? Is it Google ads for plumbing businesses? Is it YouTube ads for startups? Is it Quora ads for bloggers? Is it Google SEO for dentists? So you can start to see that this is how we're going to begin to formulate, a service market hypothesis that we're going to then go out and test. So when it comes to finding blue oceans, I like to look at it like this, with these different niches and dimensions. You can see I even go very specific here at the bottom. I don't recommend going that specific, but somewhere in the green, I think, is the sweet spot. Sometimes even if you're in a really blue ocean, you can just say you specialize in Amazon PPC and you can sign a ton of clients. That's how it was for me when I started my agency, BetterAMS. There wasn't any specific market. It was really just sellers on Amazon that are making as much money as possible. Like anybody that's doing 7-8 figures or even close to 7 figures when I started out was an ideal client. And I didn't need to say that I specialized in healthcare sector on Amazon because there was just nobody offering Amazon advertising services back in 2016. There was 4 people. It was non-existent. So with that being said, again, sometimes if your market is blue enough, you don't even need to really define the ICP that well. It can just be the service offering itself. And if you post content and you connect with, all the various different clients that you could work with, you'll get a lot of clients and it will be pretty straightforward. So ladies and gents, that, without further ado, is how you find an unsaturated market. Now, if you enjoyed this video, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. These things all help boost the algorithm. We're trying to get this video out to as many people as possible and help more people start successful agencies, ideally faster than slower. And with that being said, thanks for watching this video. I hope to see you in the next one. Much love, everybody. Ciao. Hey friend, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to watch another one that's extremely valuable, I just selected it for you, and you can check it out by clicking it right there on the other side of the screen across from my face. All right, friend, enjoy. Thanks for watching the channel.